everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tap House Talks. I am Ryno, and today I am here at Disney's Hollywood Studios in Walt Disney World at my favorite attraction, which is Baseline Tap House. I am here with one of my favorite people as well. She's been on the show before. You've seen her, you love her. It's Amber.
Did you hear him? Did you hear what he said? He said that I am one of his favorite people on the whole planet. The entire Earth. Wow. He's never said that to me before, and now it lives on the internet.
We'll see what happens when we discover life out there. So,
wow, okay. That took a dark turn.
Before we get started on today's episode, I want to remind everybody that this and everything that we do here is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. They're experts at helping you plan that perfect Disney vacation. When you book with them, it costs you nothing extra on your trip. You help support the channel and all of the content that we produce here. So check them out, dreamsunlimitedtravel.com, for a free, no obligation quote. Today is also brought to you by our Patreon supporters. We could not do this without you. If you want to learn more about how you can get exclusive content from different members of the Diz team, you can head over to patreon.com/DizUnlimited. I think Amber forgets that this is a continuous two-shot, so it won't be cutting back and forth. It will be us side by side.
I'm aware.
Okay.
It's adorable you think I wasn't
I need
aware.
to know, what are you drinking today, Amber?
He's doing this again because I don't know what I'm drinking. I know it's a cider. I know that it is acai, and I know that it's delicious.
Well, for those of you, I was going to say, for those of you who are not familiar, or maybe you don't get down to Walt Disney World as often as you'd like, at Baseline Tap House for years since they've opened, they've had a cider on tap made by Ace, and it recently went under, but I think it is operating again. But they have since replaced that cider with a new cider, which is the Coronado Brewing Company Superfruit Cider out of San Diego. It is a 5.5% ABV. You can get it in a 16 ounce for $12.75, but we went with the 20 ounce because it's $13.25, and for a 50-cent more difference for 4 more ounces, why would you not do that? I am also actually drinking a new beer on tap as of just a couple days ago as we're recording this. If you don't know, they've been rotating like a seasonal tap for the last year or two. This is the Sierra Nevada Hop Tropical IPA. It is out of Chico, California, 6.5% ABV. I'm glad I tried it. I don't think I'll get it again. It's just a standard IPA. I like a hazy IPA. I feel like they're a little more fruit forward.
That's a good word.
This one definitely has a little bit of stone fruits, or maybe a papaya taste to it. It's a little bitter. I'm a fan of the hazy little thing or the Stone Delicious, but I'm glad I tried it. I like to try new things. I appreciate that they rotate new things. Please keep it up. Amber and I also enjoyed a pretzel as our pre-show. Yeah, she gone. She lasted a minute and a half. I love the pretzels here. I love the charcuterie board.
Fantastic.
I still maintain this is one of the best places to come and get a great snack and just sit and vibe a little bit. You and I were actually here just a couple of days ago, less than a week ago at this point.
Yep. We
came on the weekend, and you brought you had your husband and your 2 kids, and we all kind of hung out here at one of the benches for a little bit. Got food from different areas of the park to bring it over, and it's just I like it. I like the vibe over here. Yeah. It's it's nice, it's casual. That's not what we're here to talk about today. Are you ready for today's topic?
I think so. I'm a little nervous.
All right. So I was thinking with a lot of the different types of announcements that have been coming about the updates headed to Walt Disney World, like the cars in Frontierland. Supposedly, we'll see if it happens, but the Villains area in Magic Kingdom, the Monster Coaster here at Hollywood Studios. There's a lot of big projects on the horizon. I mean, Disneyland's getting Pandora over there, and Coco Ride. All these things that you kind of really do hope come to fruition eventually. I'm sure the big money makers like Pandora, obviously Monsters Inc. is definitely going to come and stuff like that. But it got me thinking. Today I am currently wearing a Powerline flannel.
It's brand new.
I've got my brand new Loungefly, all this stuff here, and I was thinking. This year is the 30th anniversary. Oh my God, I'm shaking this table like crazy. This is the 30th anniversary of a lot of, I feel like you and I, not to spoil how old we are, we're born in '85, so we're millennials, but we're getting a lot of that. Like it's the 30th anniversary of Toy Story, a Goofy movie, and off of Disney topic, Jumanji.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future's 40 years is our, there's a lot of these really what I would consider sort of like key movies to our developmental growth as children.
Yeah.
That are turning a certain age, and some of them more celebrated than others, I feel like. But so I was kind of thinking about maybe we could talk about some of the. I was on the Disney Fantasy recently for a 5-night sailing, and I won the trivia, and
I'm so proud
the
of you.
Oak Gills Pub.
Good job.
It was cult classic Disney movie trivia.
Okay.
And I was thinking, and there was a lot of stuff on there where I was like, it wasn't really cult classic to me. It was the ones I grew up watching.
The ones you grew up watching.
Yeah, like Escape to Witch Mountain.
Sure. Yeah.
A Goofy movie. There was a question for that. A Nightmare on Elm Street. Good Lord. Nightmare Before Christmas. That's where I was going with that.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, it was the one about the skeleton man that invades the kids' dreams.
Incorrect.
Just smash
for hands.
Yeah. It was across the, Wait, you were talking about Freddy, and for some reason I thought you were talking about Edward Scissorhands, and I'm like, just put them all together. One big nightmare. Yep. Yeah. I was thinking about those sort of movies that we grew up with that I feel like have, I know they use the word like cult following, but I was thinking where I was like, are these really cult classics? Because it feels like...
I think that term is subjective based on who you talk to. I feel like the criteria is malleable, right? So I don't want to use the term cult classic because you're going to people be like, that's not a cult classic by my standard or definition. But I think that what you're referring to is like the things we grew up with, the things that were formative in our lives. Like, is that what you're referring to, like, more broadly?
Well, it's weird because, you just said, I think that was a really good way to describe it. There's a lot of debate.
You.
Like, I feel like the thing that initiated the reference to a cult classic film would be like Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Right.
Classic Disney movie.
Classic.
Which ironically is now true.
It is.
But it is also the most, I think the statistic is like it's the most shown movie. Because it did midnight showings, and it still does midnight showings. So it's like either the longest running theatrical run of a movie or like the most theatrical show movie. I forget, there's like really random statistic. And it makes sense. I used to go to the midnight showings in Cambridge, Massachusetts every Saturday. We'd hop in my friend's minivan and we'd drive up there. I would always be the Eddie. I'd have a vest and everything.
So you.
I know. But I was kind of thinking, now also realizing that is a Disney movie is kind of spiraling my brain out of control right now. And I'm like, I wanted the conversation to sort of be those sort of movies now that can be both either inherited from the purchase of Fox or were always Disney movies, but those things that now we've realized have stood the test of time. Maybe they weren't popular when they come out. Hocus Pocus, and it's now a staple of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. I would argue it's the best stage show I've seen in the 15 years I've gone to that Halloween party. Has it run its course a little bit?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, ever?
No, the Halloween party. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But that's the part where I'm like, what are some other things that you feel like maybe are considered cult classic, but for us who are now, in that era of our life where you're like, no, these are the things we crave. I mean, Amber knows, I'm like I said, I'm wearing a Goofy Movie flannel right now. I bought this Goofy Movie lounge fly. Anytime I see Goofy Movie merchandise, I buy it because we never got it.
Right.
Do you have something like that you...
I have a lot.
Okay.
So my favorite Disney films tend to be more of the obscure. My favorite is Hercules. And I feel like...
you don't see a lot of Hercules merch.
You don't see a lot of Hercules merch.
Full representation in the park.
It's starting to make a little bit of a merch resurgence, I feel, in the past few years. But even then, it's not mainstream available. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, like, you think it would be on Disney Store, but it's not. It's like Box Lunch has all of the...
Yeah, I was going to say, Box Lunch and
Hot Topic is all about... And that's where I get all of my Hercules merch. I have, a Muses t-shirt. I have a Muses sweatshirt.
Because it amuses you.
It does. It amuses
You're welcome.
me. Get it?
Yeah.
God, I can't stand it.
Shut the camera off. We're done.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
But like, and same thing. If it's Hercules, and if I like that merch even a little, I buy it because I don't know when I'm going to see Hercules merch again. And especially like Meg is my favorite character. I love Meg. I love everything about her. She doesn't show up a lot, so like the Muses are getting a lot more merch, which is great.
I feel like the Muses,
see a lot of Meg.
Pegasus, a lot of Pegasus. I'd argue that I'd see Pegasus. I would say Hades, then Pegasus, then Hercules. The Muses, Meg.
I don't think Meg gets a lot. So I was at Books A Million of all places.
Linda Larkin showed up at that 90s? Not Linda Larkin. Yes, Linda Larkin.
No. Linda Larkin's Jasmine.
Susan Egan. Susan Egan showed up at the 90s night at Disneyland after dark. Can you imagine?
I would have lost my damn mind. Yeah. I would have lost it. But I was at Books A Million of all places. And Books A Million does tend to have like a lot of like Disney stuff, but there was a Loungefly that has Meg and the Muses, and those are my favorite things about Hercules is Meg and the Muses. And I was like, well, I have to have this bag immediately, and I wear it and people are like, where did you get that bag? I'm like, Books A Million? Like, it's so random. Books A Million. But it's so random because I don't know when I'm going to see it again, and I would love to see Hercules in the parks. I would love that. I've never met Meg.
Well, I was just going to tell you so I've gone to the Disneyland After Dark. They've done a Pride Night in 2024 and 2023, and supposedly they're doing it again in 2025. But I went, and last year specifically, I remember the 2024 one, there was an area where it was like the Muses. And I went over there, and it was like a group that was a very talented singing group, but I was like, this is not the
They're
Muses.
Like based on the
they weren't in that costume.
Like.
It was more like, you know that band, the Disneylanders?
Yeah.
It was kind of like saying that being like, well, they were Powerline, and you'd be like, no. You know what I mean? Okay. It was kind of like, it's more like, oh, they're inspired by.
Okay.
They were incredibly talented, and I loved the performance they put on, so don't get me wrong.
Right.
But it was one of those where it's interesting. But yeah, I was curious about some of those sort of movies that you grew up with that you remember a lot and how you'd like to see them. Maybe we could like just have fun and be like, hey, how do you like to see these in the park? Well, so like for me, I feel like I know the journey of a Goofy movie is, I can't even remember how long ago, maybe it was 5 years ago or more, Max showed up in his Powerline outfit. First of all, we never used to see Max. You saw Max in the 90s when Goof Troop had come out.
Max was a surprise character where you
somebody's training today.
You're like, oh, there's Max. I can't believe Max is out, and it was kind of just one of those.
It was always Goof Troop Max, which is not
in the red
a
with
Goofy
the sneaker.
movie Max.
With the purple pants. But when he came out as Powerline, that was next level.
Yeah, and the first time he did that was in Paris.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Why? And then I'm pretty sure it was Paris because they did like a show or something.
Well, Paris also is very much known for their obscure characters, and so even for just like just a regular event, all of their like obscure lineup will come out at Paris. They're really known for that. Like Face Jessica Rabbit comes out. Yeah. Like,
was she ever a character here? Has she ever?
If she was, I've never seen her. But when studios opened in 1989, Roger Rabbit was really associated with studios because that's when Roger Rabbit came out.
Yeah.
And so if that happened, I imagine it was in that time frame, but I really don't know for sure.
That is wild to me. But yeah, I was gonna say I know he showed up at the you're trash. At the we need a higher etiquette of deaths, I guess. Apparently. Who's vetting these people? We need Max was in Paris and then he showed up, I think, at Disneyland After Dark the first time they ever did that, the 90s night, which was like a couple years ago, because I know they did it this year and that was a return to the event. And then it was like he just one day started showing up at Hollywood Studios. I know, so he you can kind of catch him in that Powerline outfit if you're lucky a little bit more, which is great. And it's clear that there was a demand for him, because the craziest part about that is there's two different costumes. The Max that you would meet at Hollywood Studios in the corner outside of Baseline Tap House here, before you go into Galaxy's Edge, he has like Chuck Taylor shoes with orange laces and a yellow suit with the glasses. The one that showed up at Disneyland After Dark in the Paris one has like rhinestones on the side of his suit. And he's like, first of all, neither of them are movie accurate, which is weird to me too. Sure. But it's also the Max that is Goof Troop Max and not a Goofy movie Max, because not to be that guy. I was like, well, technically, but the Goofy movie is like Max when he's like 13 to 15, and a Goofy and Goof Troop, he's definitely like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing is he's supposed to be like in puberty in a Goofy movie.
Right.
And that was the whole like the vibe of that movie, which I just love that movie so much. I don't know. I feel like his reception is always well received. I see so many people, like even today we were in the park wearing that. There is a shirt that you can get that's been out now for like, I don't know, a year or two, a pink Goofy movie shirt.
I have that shirt.
Yeah, and then, I see so many people wearing that and it's become a staple.
There's the ornaments that are coming. Like
I got the ornament because there's a Powerline specific ornament.
That was at Disneyland.
Oh my God, don't even get me started. I want that popcorn bucket
I know you want
so
the popcorn
bad.
bucket. I'm like the one time that I don't know anyone that's at Disneyland right now.
I know.
So good.
There was that. It feels like it's like seeping in more and more. Because there was a new Goofy movie shirt. There was the ornament. And then there was like one other thing because I got it and it was like 3 things at once, I thought. But like I know it's the 30th anniversary. I know that there's a Hallmark ornament coming out this year. There's but I also it's always think third party.
I always think though the time frame, right? Because like you said, we're 85. We grew up with this movie. Who's the one that's coming to the parks with families right now?
I have no children, but you have 2 children. Mm-hmm. You have a nuclear family. You have a husband, 2 children, and I'm like, you and your family dressed up as characters from a Goofy movie, and it wasn't even like this year. It was
it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and so like your children love this movie. So what I'm saying is like this cult classic stood that test of time. Yep. And I feel like we're kind of rising to that occasion where we're seeing a lot more of these movies that were kind of brushed under the rug that we love. Like I loved Mulan. When I saw Mulan, I was like, this movie is so good. I loved like Eddie Murphy as Mushu. I just think it was funny, but I loved that Mulan was not your traditional like princess character. Like she was a warrior and it wasn't a love story. I know. I see the child kicking the bottle.
I'm sorry. It's just distracting us all. It's fine. I'm sorry. He's fine. He's living his life. It's fine.
So I just feel like you mentioned Hercules. There's a lot of these things. So we're getting a little bit of that representation. I still maintain that Rock and Roller Coaster should be rethemed because the attraction is already about trying to get from point A to point B. And that is what a Goofy movie is about. It's about point A to point B. You would just have to do a Bill Farmer and a Jason Marsden
voiceover kind of thing.
Like an animated opening in the thing where, and it's just literally that's the movie and it's them on their journey. You put a couple of, because it's Rock and Roller Coaster, it's moving like 60 miles an hour or something. Put a couple, like put a Bigfoot, put the car maybe somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But they're already going to literally where they're trying to get in the movie. It feels like such an easy retheme that you're like, well, why would they do that now? That's a cult classic that's now like 30 years old. But I'm still like, but I think it'll stand the test of time for another 20 years, 30 years or whatever. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, regardless, it would be a fun retheme. And honestly, and don't get me wrong, I'm excited for the Muppets. But I do agree with you when you said that that it's a similar thing already. Like when you're going through, even like the cutouts of all of the pieces are very like 90s animation style-esque. So it actually does looks like it could fit.
Here's
that
what I'm
would be
saying.
cool.
It's the recording studio of Powerline. Maybe we get Tevin Campbell back in there. We get a third song, and that's the whole thing.
That would be the dream.
Maybe it's a reunion tour. Maybe because Disney loves to do those sequels now. Like Tiana's Bayou Adventure, it's a sequel to the movie. I know that the Nick and Judy ride in Tokyo, that's a sequel. Not Tokyo. Shanghai. That's a sequel. Like these sort of like continuing that story.
Continuations of the story.
And that's a thing where I'm like, why wouldn't Goofy and Max go back to go?
Maybe another road trip.
Yeah,
maybe they go like now Goofy's a fan of Powerline and they're doing it together as a father and son thing. That would be really cute. Yeah.
I think that's my I'm hoping for that. Okay, so you said Hercules, and I feel like I've been nonstop talking about a Goofy movie.
Well,
how
what
would
else
you
is
like
new?
to see? So Hercules was represented. Was that not in the park before? No, I'm thinking of
So when Hercules debuted, when it came out in theaters, there was a Hercules parade that was here at Hollywood Studios, and the parade was really fun and it was really cute. But that was a very normal thing back then in the '90s.
I feel like whenever there was an animated
parade,
movie, right?
There was a Toy Story parade. Every time they would debut a new movie, they would kind of have this synergy thing with the parade. So I do love that, but I don't have something lined up, but it just seems like there's so many. You could even do a retelling, I would love a stage show. I would love a stage show because Hercules in general is just the music.
You know where I think you could do it?
Where? Here at Hollywood Studios.
Beauty and the Beast has had its time in the sun.
Listen,
I love Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast.
I fall asleep watching Law and Order every night, and it still blows my mind that Lenny Briscoe is the voice of Lumiere. And I only just learned this.
Didn't you just learn that?
Yeah, I didn't know. I couldn't.
So funny.
And I still, I've watched videos. Literally, I will look up YouTube videos.
I can't believe you don't hear it.
I can't.
I can't believe you don't hear it.
He's the one who always makes jokes.
I'm like,
he'll be
that's Lumiere.
Oh, she's dead. Sorry. Unfortunate because she was pretty. And I'll be like,
Lumiere.
What does it matter if she was pretty? She's dead. She deserved to die if she was ugly.
It's getting real dark here.
I love watching Law and Order. 100% watch it. We should all live to be McCoy. But I think the world would be in a better place if we all tried to be McCoy. But I think that would be fun. Here's the thing.
Love a stage
you know what?
show.
I'd love a rotating stage show, maybe. Let's pop a Hercules show in there. Let's put a Hunchback show in there.
Let's put an Oliver and Company show in there because that's my other one. Don't.
That is definitely. I agree with you. That is a cult classic, but I don't think.
I love Oliver and Company.
I don't think it has that same.
Okay.
I don't think it continues on in the same way that Hercules in a Goofy movie.
It doesn't have the timeless element. I agree.
No, I'm not saying. My comment is not on the movie itself. My comment is on. I don't hear it. I don't see it.
Oh, I totally disagree.
Yeah, but because you love it.
That soundtrack is iconic.
Well, obviously Billy Joel.
It's Billy Joel. It's Bette Midler. It's Huey Lewis and the News.
Hey, Piano Man, calm down over there.
I cannot. I am a very big fan of Oliver and Company. Listen, but you're talking about these things are likely not going to happen. But would I love to see a dark ride with Oliver and Company?
No, that'll never happen. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. We're blue skying. Isn't that what we're doing right now? I would love to see a dark ride with Oliver and Company where you're in the taxi and a cute little animatronic of Dodger and he's all fuzzy and cute. And he's singing "Why Should I Worry?" and he's got the glasses on and he's on the piano playing it with his tail. That would be amazing.
I just don't think. I'm not trying to be even rude. I just don't think Oliver and Company has the audience the same way some of the other.
Your question was what movies?
I know. Okay, but let me
you grew up with.
Let me relegate.
Would you like to see in the park?
And let me relegate Oliver and Company to another cult classic movie. Well, that people say is cult classic, and I've watched it recently.
Emperor's New Groove.
I'm not going to say Emperor's New Groove. I'm going to say The Black Cauldron.
Oh.
I would argue that Oliver and Company is on that level.
No, it is not. No, it is not. Oliver, if you're going to do that, Oliver and Company is on the same level as Great Mouse Detective. I will give you Great Mouse Detective.
I do love Great Mouse Detective.
I will put you. It's on that same level.
Okay.
It is not Black Cauldron.
But
it is not.
Emperor's New Groove definitely has a bigger following than Oliver and Company.
100%. I think I put Emperor's New Groove
is on a Goofy movie level. Yes. Yeah.
I agree with that. Where I think they have the right following.
I also
and they have a lot of content to work with.
I think maybe there's a thing about a movie like Emperor's New Groove, a Goofy movie. Mulan wasn't even the hit they wanted it to be when that
came out. Which is a bummer. Mulan is such a good movie.
I guess Hercules wasn't.
Hercules wasn't a hit, but I feel like Hercules does fall into the cult classic territory because it became beloved later.
Well, and that's the thing. It's sort of that, sometimes what was going on?
What was it's up against juggernauts that were like Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and Lion King, where those were hit. Everybody loved those films. And they were they were such a comeback from a time, obviously Little Mermaid's part of that too, that started the Renaissance, but having that.
Sorry, I saw some fans behind you over there.
Did you?
Yeah, they're walking in the background.
Oh, fans.
Wave to them, yeah.
Fans over
Just
here.
fans, we don't know them anymore. Yeah.
But obviously,
the ultimate Easter egg in this episode.
I feel like that is kind of what it was almost a disservice to the ones that came later. Was like if it didn't fall in the realm of like Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, then people were like, well, I don't want it. It's not as good.
So what was the last one of that?
I think Lion King, because then it was like
94.
Because then it was like Pocahontas and Tarzan.
I think
and
Pocahontas
Lilo
was the
and Stitch
first.
was really well received.
Yeah, but I would.
That was later.
You know what's wild is that with Lilo and Stitch, I still actually think Lilo and Stitch. Like I know obviously. Here's the thing, Lilo and Stitch. I am shocked at how almost every 2 to 3 months we have a new, completely top to bottom Lilo and Stitch collection. Top to bottom. Like new spirit jerseys, new bags, new whatever.
Stitch collection.
And that's the thing.
I would love to see Lilo.
I mean, I would too.
One of my
favorite Roosevelt shirts is actually like
the
Lilo's,
red with
with the flowers, her dress. Yeah.
Because like I love the Lilo and Stitch film. Stitch is fine. I'm not a big Stitch fan, but the Lilo and Stitch film is very special, and I think it's a very sweet story.
You're also not a dog person.
That has nothing to do with it because he's not a dog.
I know, but he says he's a dog in the movie.
No, I'm not. I am. Listen, let me tell you my big pet peeve. My one big pet peeve.
Because he's on all those the Dooney and Burks as a dog.
I am not a Stitch fan. I can accept that people love Stitch. I can accept that it's totally fine. It doesn't matter to me that there's so much Stitch merch because I know people love it. What bothers me is I am a big Disney dogs fan. I'm not a dog fan, but a lot of my favorite Disney characters are dogs. Pluto's my favorite Fab 5 character. Dodger's one of my favorite.
Goofy.
Not Goofy. Pongo from Hunter
He's
Dalmatians.
He's a single dad. He works two jobs.
I'm sure, but
he's the Reba.
That's fine, whatever. Like Pongo, like I am a big Disney dog person, but when they make the collections that are Disney dog and Stitch is on there, I don't want it. Because I'm like, he's not a dog. He's not a dog. He's not a dog.
Okay, so I have seen, here's the thing about me and Lilo and Stitch. I feel like I have seen, what did that movie come out? 99? 2000?
I think so, 99.
I don't know why it's like a cursed movie in my book because I've seen the opening like 8 times and something went wrong every single time where I was unable. The power went out. The VCR ate the tape.
Weird.
Like, yeah, and like literally it happened on Cruise. Something happened when I went to go watch it on Cruise Line recently. So I've seen it like once all the way through and recently since the pandemic.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, this movie is good.
It's
like
really
I like
good.
it. It's funny. Also, Stitch is not as obnoxious in that movie as he is when he's represented in the park. The park represents him like
because they like to make him a troublemaker.
Well, and my familiarity with Stitch was the alien encounter.
Great Escape.
Yeah, the Great Escape, and that was where I was like, God, this character is terrible. I don't like it, and that's not who he is. And I'm like,
the whole point of Lilo and Stitch
now,
is
will we watch the live action movie?
I'll watch it because I'll watch it.
Yes, yeah.
But I mean, the whole point of Lilo and Stitch is the way that you can have a character arc when somebody loves you, like how you can change and become a better person.
When somebody loves you.
He went that route.
Yeah.
But for me, like again, I love Lilo and Stitch as a film. That is actually probably one of my favorites. But I want more Lilo because, in my opinion, Lilo is the best character. I think she's so underutilized.
You heard of a character named Pleakley?
I mean, Pleakley's great too,
yeah.
But I just love her, and I love the Nani and Lilo relationship. I wish there was more stuff about that, like because with like Elsa and Anna, everyone's like, oh, I love the sister relationship.
I don't like Frozen though. You know I don't. You know how I feel about that.
I do have a soft spot.
That's okay.
For Frozen,
I understand that.
But
I'm in the
just
minority.
talking about like the sister relationship. Like people like do love that. Like, oh, I love that there's a sister relationship, and I'm like, I'm fine with that.
Well,
but Nani and Lilo to me is quintessential sisters, and I wish there was more representation of that because I just love their relationship so much, and it's so real and special, and I wish that was more present.
Well, maybe it will be in the live action. We don't know yet. Yeah, because I think it's the same director. It's the same voice of Stitch, who was the director of the movie, who also made
How to Train Your Dragon.
No, but he made The Wild Robot, I think.
Yeah, he did.
And The Wild Robot is one of the best movies I have seen. What? Wait, what? What?
It was okay. There were parts about it I loved. But I was like, where are we we going with this? And then it was like, you're going down this road, and now the movie's about this, and now it's back to this, and now it's back to this. Or it was a lot of like really jarring turns that I wasn't expecting, and not in a good way. I don't think it was a bad movie, just not my favorite. It was fine. Obviously, the best character is the fox. I'm just saying.
Pedro Pascal.
Obviously. But it was fine. I'm not saying it's a bad movie.
Incorrect. The best character is the possum.
The possum is pretty great. I was just surprised. Is it
Moira Rose?
What?
Moira.
Oh, it's Catherine O'Hara.
Yes.
I was going to say Natasha Lyonne.
No,
I don't know why I thought it was Natasha Lyonne.
Lupita Nyong'o can do no wrong. Hello, she's dating my
really
childhood boyfriend, Joshua Jackson.
Yes, she is. Both of them can get it for that, by the way.
You know what's crazy to me is I was like, God, I want to watch this movie with my mother so bad, and here you are, the mother, telling me you don't like the movie. I'm not going to hate it. We can move on from this. I don't want our friendship to be destroyed here.
I just think I didn't connect with it as much as I thought it would. There were parts I liked, but it was a good movie. It was fine. Just not something I was like, I need to own this. I want to watch it again. It was fine. I liked it. I didn't love it.
I feel like we've completely lost track of what we wanted to do.
Surprise!
Okay, I wanted a goofy movie to be a roller coaster. You wanted a dark ride.
I want Hercules to be a live Broadway stage style show, but in the park.
Well,
I know they're doing a Broadway.
No. Well, I was going to say that's the perfect time because, well, even if they do it at Walt Disney World, Disneyland has the Hyperion Theater where they've done Rogers the Musical.
Yes.
They've done Frozen. Why can't they do
I think that
Hercules?
The Hercules film, just like the aesthetic and the drama mixed with the comedy and the music, it's the perfect film to do a Broadway style show.
I can see like a really fun the showmanship, like the theatrical part of it, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've ever done like a Disney cruise line, I've been fortunate enough to see.
I would love to see that.
I've seen the whole thing of Moana. I've only seen like one part of Little Mermaid, but the Moana show when they
is
do
there
like
a Hercules one that's coming? Am I remembering that incorrectly?
No, maybe there is. You said it, and now I'm like, maybe there is. I know the Fantasy is about to go to dry dock as of the recording of this, and but on the Treasure, there's not a Hercules show.
No, Treasure's Moana, yeah?
Honestly, I can't remember.
I think
Treasure is Moana. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
yes, I
Treasure's
did.
Moana.
I got to meet the people who did it and everything.
Oh,
It was
cool.
great. Yeah, it was really cool. I got to be real close with the Tafiti is the fire. What's the earth? Like the green.
No, Tafiti is green. Taka.
Okay, Tafiti. I got to be up close with the Tafiti puppet.
That's really cool.
And it was really, really cool. And then it was the Taka transformation, watching it, where I was like, how did they do that?
Incredible.
I love watching a Broadway show where you're like, how did they do that? And here's the thing. I like Beauty and the Beast, the show here. It is time to... It's been over 30 years.
We can update it, or like with a new show.
Yeah.
And like if you absolutely need to keep Beauty and the Beast, there are ways to update it in a tasteful way.
I truly believe when we're talking about how do we want to see cult classic films represented, my number one wish is it's so simple. I want to see them finish the Powerline album, or at least add one more song to it.
I think that would be really smart, and I think it would do very well. Now, I will say, yes, I would love to have an Oliver and Company dark ride. Do I think that's realistic? No. I don't think that would ever happen in the history of the world. But I would love that.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Well, so I don't mean this in a rude way. No, I feel like Oliver and Company also is in the same batch of like a Treasure Planet people who will say, we loved this movie, it was great, but I don't
want to admit that because I don't like Treasure Planet at all. But you're not wrong. I feel like you've either seen Oliver and Company or you haven't.
Mars Needs Mom.
Don't.
No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
But I will say, I don't think this is realistic either. I don't think this would happen either. I would love an Atlantis boat ride. I love Atlantis, but I also agree that I think that Atlantis is in the same camp.
No, I think Atlantis is like. I think it's maybe like in the middle.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
I did not expect you to say that.
Did you know that there's been meet and greets for the Atlantis characters at Disneyland
After Dark events?
And that is always kind of my like barometer a little bit.
Okay, that's fair.
I would argue that Pocahontas has become a cult classic.
And you know,
it was
I love
mainstream,
that for Pocahontas
but then I
fans.
think,
I'm just not a Pocahontas fan.
It's hard because my youngest sister loved it so much, and I liked like I love that song, like Savages, Savages, because I love. It's crazy because how young I was. Where I was
the
like,
musicality of those.
The reversal of that song, where they were both singing it. The Settlers.
That's actually that's probably my favorite song from that film.
And literally, that's the song where I was like, okay, this movie does approach this from a a colonizer and the indigenous perspective. With that said, are there not other problems with the movie? I have no idea. I'm not an expert in that subject. It's weird because that was the first. Is that the first movie that's like a real person? Like the Disney princess movie? I could be wrong, and we're thinking on the spot.
I'd have to think about it.
Yeah, we'd have to go back, but I'm like, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Little Mermaid, obviously not Little Mermaid, or what do they say on Superstore? Well, the mermaid's tails fell off. They evolved, and the tails fell off. Yeah. But it's like...
You might be right.
And I'm like, is that part of the element where you're like, oh, you tried to Disneyfy...
like
sort
a
of
real
this like
story
traumatic event and history.
Right, kind of act like, well, that didn't happen.
And then also, the wildest part about that, I've never seen it, but I've seen the trailer for like part 2 where you're like, oh God, this is worse. Like, she went to England and like, that is the rest of the story, but you're like,
I just feel like Pocahontas isn't a bad movie, but for me, I've just never really had a connection with it. I like a lot of the songs, like you said, they are really beautifully done.
Okay, so when I was, do you want to know this weird, this like super weird
Always.
thing. Okay, so I was in like chorus for a lot of my life. I cannot sing to save my life. If I was on a cliff, someone dangled me over with a rope and like, sing a tune, they dropped me into the ocean dead. With that said, I don't know why I chose to do this, but we did in like, we were really young. There was like a medley of Pocahontas songs. Oh. Because it was like, in 1607, we sailed the open sea for glory God. No, my dad's girlfriend had the CD for Pocahontas, and I remember being like, put on Savages! The white people are savages!
I just love that as a child you were like, Savages, that's the best song!
I was like 12. Yeah, and I'm like, put it on! I don't want to hear that garbage love song. If I only knew.
Listen, that song's actually very beautiful, but yeah.
There's like also Just Around the River Bend. It's like a good song too.
It is.
But you just like, I just don't care about any of it, I don't think.
I think that's what it is I feel like there's not enough heart.
I can't, and off the top of my head, I cannot think the follow-up of that either. Mm-mm. Like, what was the next movie after that? Was it Hercules? No, it was Hunchback.
Tarzan.
No, Tarzan, it's Hunchback and Hercules before Tarzan.
I always forget where it falls.
No, maybe I'm wrong. Tarzan is post Mulan, I think. Mulan was like 98. I could be like way off, but maybe Mulan was the next one. Because Pocahontas might have been like 96.
No, I think Pocahontas
might have been
was after Mulan.
No, Pocahontas was definitely not after Mulan. I know that 100% to be true. Mulan might even be in the 2000s. Mulan's
not 2000s.
Mulan is not.
One moment.
Okay, gang. We're going to a little website. It's called
IMDb.
And then we're going to end the show. And I know it was not what I intended it to be, but we are just.
Mulan was 98.
Mulan was,
Pocahontas was 95.
Exactly.
So
okay, I said 96.
That's a lot earlier than I would have guessed. I would have guessed that was 98.
So Mulan was the next one then. When was Hunchback?
Check Hunchback.
Hunchback might have been before that. Hunchback was 96.
So Hunchback was next.
So it was next.
Pocahontas. So that
was the start of it then.
That's why. It was Hunchback, or it was Pocahontas, Hunchback, Mulan, Tarzan.
No, when was Hercules?
Hercules, 94? It was after Lion King because it has Scar in it.
Bro, you are way off.
I'm not off. It was after Lion King.
Yeah, it was definitely after Lion King because it was made in 1997.
Lion King?
Lion King is 1994. Hercules is 1997. So it went.
Okay, but I didn't say it was directly after Lion King. I meant it was after Lion King because Scar is in it.
It went Pocahontas, Hunchback, Hercules.
But Mulan. Do you see what I'm saying? Though? There was that batch of films that came after.
Wait, so was Lion King
that golden age, and so everyone was like, no.
So Lion King's
That was the last one.
Lion King is my favorite Disney animated movie.
I agree. It's not my favorite, but it is up there. I love Lion King. It's literally Shakespeare.
It's literally Shakespeare.
Literally Shakespeare.
It's also my favorite Shakespeare thing, which is Hamlet.
Yeah. But yes, Atlantis, a boat ride, I think would be really fun.
You know what makes me so sad?
Tell me.
Lion King, that we are not getting the Splash Mountain Lion King ride.
I'm not sad about that. Listen,
Show's over.
I have been wrong before about not understanding the concept of something. I am always
I like Tiana's.
and positive. I love Tiana's. I am always hopeful and positive that, you know, when it comes to be and I experience it, and I'm like, oh, I am wrong. This actually does work. But I don't understand the concept yet of how the Lion King story is going to be a flume ride. I don't get it yet. Maybe it'll make sense later. Not a whole lot has been shared. I have been proven wrong before, but I'm just like, okay, I will wait and see. I will wait and see.
Well, we're running out of time. We don't really have a lot of time to talk about other cult classics. Can you name one really quick that you could think of?
I do think Emperor's New Groove needs an attraction.
Yeah, but not an attraction. Maybe not an attraction, but how would you like to see Emperor's New Groove represented?
I know what everybody says that, like, oh, it's a given because of the wrong lever and the roller coaster into the lab, and that could be a cute way to start like a dark ride. But I think a dark ride is the thing that makes the most sense for Emperor's New Groove because it's so colorful and it's so fun, and you could do a lot. Would
you like to see it as a sequel or a retelling of the attraction?
I would like a retelling. I think the story is really great, and I think it's pretty simple to translate into a dark ride.
I say just do it the mine car on the track like they do in the movie.
I think it should start that way. I think it would be really fun to start that way, like pull the lever, wrong lever, and then it goes into the whole dark ride.
You know what's crazy, really and it might not be true like attraction for attraction, but Disneyland, I feel like when I go there, I was like, there's a lot more of those like very family-friendly, younger kid-oriented dark rides, like Pinocchio's Daring Journey. Yeah. You have, Snow White's, or it's not called Snow White's Scary
Enchanted
Adventure.
Wish.
Yeah, and then the Mr. Toad and Mike and Sully, Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, that's my favorite.
I do like that one. Do it at night. I'm sure I'm missing something else.
Oh, there's so many.
I mean, Roger Rabbit.
Peter Pan. Roger Rabbit.
Haunted Mansion, technically is part of that.
Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh. There's a lot of these very like slow-moving, track-based dark rides where I feel like there are more in those two parks than there are in these four parks, and I feel like they always have people going in them, and there's a part of me where I was like, I do miss those a little bit.
I do. I love a dark ride. I'm a person, like, I appreciate
Just give me a minute to relax.
I appreciate a thrill, but I am a story-based person, so I really enjoy something that has a lot of detail and set design and is telling a story. I appreciate those kind of rides, so I love a dark ride. I
also think those type of rides sort of age, I don't want to say age better, but they age differently, where, like, look at I know I brought it up a couple times in this episode, but look at Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah.
And Aerosmith is definitely, everything removed from it is still a band where you're like, that is an iconic band in the history of rock and roll. Yes. However, it's felt dated for a long time. But there are things where you're like, I don't ever look at Peter Pan at Disneyland. Let's not talk about the Walt Disney World one. I don't ever look at like Pinocchio or Snow White or these other dark rides where I'm like, yeah, someday something might replace it. But there's still like, it's actually one of those where I feel like if they've been around for like 10 or more years, there's something weirdly comforting about it.
Yeah, it's nostalgia. And I think,
but even when you experience it with younger people,
ride
you're like,
though, because to your point, something that's more thrilling, like a roller coaster or even a Tower of Terror. At the moment, that's the most technologically advanced that attraction is going to be, because it's built now in the moment with the most technologically advanced stuff that we have available. Whereas a dark ride is what you see is what you get, and you know what to expect. A dark ride isn't going to do loops. A dark ride isn't going to have these crazy things that the attraction or the ride system is doing. The star of the dark ride is the story that's being told. Yeah. So it's kind of okay that it doesn't change or that it doesn't, and that's why I think people don't judge dark rides as harshly. You're not seeing anything new, or right. That's why I think people don't judge dark rides as harshly as like a more advanced and complex ride system, just because it is nostalgic. Because I rode this when I was a kid and I enjoyed it, and I rode this as an adult and I enjoyed it, and I rode this with my kids and they enjoyed it. It does become kind of a timeless experience. Whereas a roller coaster, this roller coaster is not as smooth smooth as it was when it first opened, or it doesn't do loops like the ones that do now. And so I feel like we can compare it a little bit more, so we're a little bit harsher judges.
No, 100%. I agree with that. Sorry, I was trying to look this up where I'm like, okay, the most obscure Disney movie that you think you could think of in your brain that you've watched where you're like, I'd love to see a nod to that.
A nod, like, or an attraction?
Or whatever. What's the most obscure Disney movie that you can think of that you've ever watched? I'm going to give you mine because I actually know mine.
Okay, go.
Lieutenant Robinson Crusoe, USN, starring Dick Van Dyke. Do you know this movie?
I'm familiar with
There's
the
a monkey
film.
in it.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
So I will say,
we don't have to be like, oh, it has to be whatever.
I'm not a live action person, and I feel like if we're gonna do an obscure, like that's where it would need to come from, because there's so many live action in the Disney catalog, so many that they cranked out. But I don't watch a lot of the older live action.
You know what? Another one. I mean, I definitely watch it more than this, but I used to watch, and this is why I hope it never goes away here. And I'm glad they brought it back at Disneyland. I did used to watch Swiss Family Robinson all the time when I was a kid.
I watched that recently in the past 5 years.
I haven't in my adult life.
And it's the first time I've ever seen it. And I'd never seen it before, and I was like,
the zebra in the mud.
I was like, this is horrifying.
It is an intense
terrifying
movie. Yeah. Well, I remember. I think I used to watch it in like increments because I was like, remember they get the other kid and they think the kid is a boy and it's a girl and she was just pretending. Yeah. And you're just like, what?
Yeah. And all the animals too, like the animal stuff that I was like.
I remember the zebra. The zebra. There's something with the zebra and it's like trapped in the mud or something, right?
Are you thinking of Artex?
No. With the tray, I made that reference to Rocket when I was walking him earlier. He sunk down a little, and I was like, "I'll try you," and I was like, "I just named I was like, "That's the boy's name," but I can't remember the horse. Yeah, sorry. Speaking of cult classics,
animation, like I feel like it's hard for me to consider anything in the animated catalog obscure because I know the animated catalog.
Okay, what do you think is the one?
Well.
What's the curveball?
I love Aristocats, and I don't think it gets enough credit. I do love Aristocats.
How would you foresee realistically a representation of aristocrats in a Disney park?
How about Aristocats?
How about Aristocats in Disneyland Paris?
Aristocats.
That makes the most sense to me.
I'm not sure.
I know they're represented on Disney Cruise Line on the Treasure.
I love that. I want to see that so bad.
They have the little footprints on the piano.
So my cat's name is Toulouse, named after that cat, the paint that he painted. Oh my God, I love it. I don't really know how, but I would love to see them represented somehow. I think of like Everybody Wants to Be a Cat is such a banger.
Yeah, it really is. It truly is.
And it's
Couldn't
such a
name
party.
another song from the movie.
Listen, Thomas O'Malley's song is, it's so catchy. It's great. His whole name.
Okay, you know what else? And I don't even know that it qualifies as a cult classic. What's going on with Lady and the Tramp?
Lady and the Tramp's one of my favorites. I actually was going to say Lady and the Tramp.
Because you said Thomas O'Malley, and I was like thinking all the animals, but then I was also thinking like, he's a tramp.
O'Malley, the alley cat.
And I'm like,
I was going to say Lady and the Tramp, but the reason I didn't was because of Tony's Town Square restaurant. So I was like, that is true.
Yeah,
so I was okay. True. The other one, Robin Hood.
Robin Hood, yes. Robin Hood
needs some love. And listen, that's another one.
I think we found it. I think we have
loves
found
Robin
it.
Hood.
Yeah.
Whether they love the movie or just Robin Hood.
And listen, I'm gonna be honest. Like, this is therapy. I don't know how many people in my life where we've all taken the test. We all know what character, whatever. If I hear one more person tell me that the first person they were in love with was either Robin Hood or Don Carnage from TaleSpin.
Don Carnage from TaleSpin.
Don
Carnage was too old for me as a child, but I'll tell you, I love Cloud Kicker.
Okay. Oh, girl.
His little frisbee.
Here, mine was Simba, but
grown up Simba.
No.
Really?
One frame.
Those bangs
one frame of the movie over the thing with the moon behind him. He's got a mohawk for one frame of this movie, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
That's why you were obsessed with
but I would have to be a lion, or he'd have to be a person.
Kian?
Yeah, Cayenne, the lion.
From the
Cayenne,
Lion
like lion.
Yeah.
But also, those dancing tigers in Zootopia awoke something within me.
Me and
within all
Ryno saw
of us, but it's
Zootopia
fine.
together.
Yeah.
We saw Zootopia together. And we were both into
what are we
it.
watching?
But then at the end, when those tigers came on with the body glitter, I looked at him and Ryno was like,
what's happening?
so into the tigers. And like, I'm also the tiger on the bus. Is it a tiger or is it a lion on the bus?
Oh, I think it's a...
Is it a lion?
I think it's a lion.
It might be a lion, but whatever.
the mayor's the lion too, so I don't know.
That big cat on the bus, when he sits and crosses 1 foot over, I'm like, all right.
Okay, I see you. But we'd be animals, they'd be people, whatever.
Yes.
Okay, I think we found it. Robin Hood is the one. I think that's the one where we're like, that's the sweet spot where I think it's still underrepresented, and I think that would be the one where people will go crazy
People would lose it for Robin
I did a
Hood
painting of like Robin Hood like this. And it was like one of the ones where people were like, can you do Robin Hood again? Can you do it again? And I was like, it was a pain in the butt to paint it. And it was just like, but I agree. Like Robin Hood is but also the tale of Robin Hood. Like I grew up, my mother's like song to her children is that like, everything I do for you. But that's the theme song of the Kevin Costner Robin Hood movie with,
I don't know who else is in that movie.
God, you do. Who's in Mr. Robot that isn't Rami Malek? It's the Christian Slater. Christian Slater plays Robin Hood's brother.
I see.
Morgan Freeman's in Robin Hood. You never seen it? Alan Rickman is phenomenal
Robin Hood with the fox, and I've seen Robin Hood
nothing
Men
else
in
I
Tights.
refuse. Oh my God.
Those are the two Robin Hoods
Carrie
I've
Ells
seen.
or
Carrie
an animated
Ellis.
fox in the end.
That's it.
All right. Well, we've run out of time. We do have one more thing to record really quick before we go here, so we will be wearing the same clothes in a future Tap House Talks. Please do not judge us. I would love to know what's the Disney cult classic we skipped over that you'd love to see like get a little bit more love in this modern day. Please, if you are watching this on YouTube, leave those comments below. If you like the video, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and of course, if you are listening to this, please rate and review the podcast wherever you are consuming it. That would be helpful. Also, hey, let me know future conversation topics. We'd love to have those. But thank you everybody for joining us here. Thank you, Amber, for having this conversation. And we will be back with another episode of Tap House Talks. Bye, everybody.